Hey, what's up? We are back. We are back. So check. I just watched. Oof. Hey, welcome, y'all. I'm the nerdy entrepreneur Lauren here. As you know, as anyone would expect, of course, I am going to do a reaction for this episode. We've been keeping steady every week after the episode is played. I have come here and done a live stream on my reaction and review of the episode, and there's a lot that goes on here. So remember, the last episode King Viserys died and he had his little hallucination and he thought his wife was his daughter and he said some things and Allison um, took it for him changing his mind about who was going to be the next in line. So she, of course, says, hey, he said Aegon was next in line. And of course, her daddy was already planning on doing what he was going to do anyway, who was the hand of the king, which is Sir Otto Hightower. Okay. So, as expected, when monarchs die, and we could have seen a really good view of this of what happened in England, even though it wasn't no boy bloody and any of that stuff. But this is what happens when monarchs die. The kingdom is like in momentary chaos, right? You gotta bury the king. You gotta who's in place. Do people keep their positions? Do people get killed over their positions? Which is what happened in this episode because as we know, this is the moment that has been warned for years, okay? For years, okay? This is 20 years in the making since, and they say it over 20 years since everyone bent the knee to Rhaenyra being the next in line. Now, Rhaenyra is not there. Remember, she went back on to Dragonstone after the shenanigans of last episode. So she's at home. She don't know that her father's dead. She doesn't know that all this shit's going out. She is not there for that. Who is there still at the castle is the cousin, Rhaenys is there, the queen that never was. She's there with her dragon. She's still there. Remember, her brother-in-law was killed in last episode as well. But she's still there. She hasn't left to go back to Driftmark as of yet. So she's there, her dragon's there, some of her servants are there, and everybody getting locked up, everybody being barred, people are being killed all over the place. The Green Council, as it's being this episode, I think it's called the Green Council, are gathered together, and this is when all the plots are being revealed that Sir Otto Hightower, who is the hand of the king, has been making over time. And they even killed one of the king's members, one of the council members there, small council members, because he was like, no, I don't give it. He was like, dude, I have known what's the name for dozens of years. He would not have done that. And once he set his mind to something, you can't get that man. There's no way he said that to you, honey, and meant this when he made us go through all this nonsense. They ain't no way. And he, of course, loses his life. Um, Something folks should take a look at or look at is the faces of the Kingsguard. Okay, the older Kingsguard, I forget his name, who's been around. You see that he's really uncomfortable with this whole situation. This doesn't ring right, you know. And he gets to the point where he takes off his white cloak and said, "Listen, when until there's a king in place, I ain't doing none of this shit y'all asking me to do." They're asking him to murder people, and the people here asking him to murder are Rhaenyra's children. Um, this is when the plot in which, uh, look, so Sir Otto and others said, "Hey, let's kill Rhaenyra and all her children. That way, there's no one to question the legitimacy. Nothing. We'll just get rid of them, and Aegon will be a king happily ever after." And Allison is like, "What the hell? Kill all her kids?" And other people like, "Kill all her." So a couple of people there were like, "Kill her kids." So there was some hesitancy in certain people who were in that room. And this is just showing you the division, even in their groups that people are making off to the side and doing all these plans on top of plans. Um, you know, Not everybody was for some of the things that were going on, and some lost their lives literally in the council. Others did other things because they didn't want to kill everybody. I think they even said someone to kill Rhaenys. I think her death was ordered too. So Allison is trying to be like, yo, no, let's give people alternatives, and stuff like that, because she was unaware of some of the plots that were going on, and we see the big division between her and her own father. Um, and so we led to some interesting conversations, led to people being put in jail and to people being killed. Now Allison, we already know she already have her cluck cluck who be in her ear, telling her all kinds of shit because he's just trying to move up the ladder. And so her father wasn't aware of Mr. Cluck Cluck in her ear and what the hell's going on there. So she's getting advice there. She's making her own plans. And even as much as she talks about the murdering stuff that her dad is planning, she winds up planning her own slew of murders there as well. Because, hey, as we see in this episode, Aegon's a fucking drunk. Now I already knew that from the books, but yeah, he don't want this shit, and then he gets a taste of power. It's like, okay, I think but we'll see more on that. I don't want to spoil what the details I know that will become of him. Here's the thing: Aegon has all these bastard children, which I talked about that in the last live stream. I said that kid, or we get a flash of a kid who has Targaryen features. We're like, if that ain't a Damien thing, that's an Aegon thing because Aegon likes to get drunk, hang out in Flea Bottom, and he's into all kinds of depravity. And he's always screwing all these women. And some of these women are getting pregnant and having children. So I believe I might have to rewatch that part of the episode, but they burnt down the brothel and killed supposedly the woman who you'll see later who was in charge of that thing. I think called her the White Worm, who Aegon had gone to. um, who she didn't like his ass either. She's like, I could have killed his ass because Aegon has a horrible reputation, and there's some other things with gold cloaks and them too that's mentioned as a minor detail that might be bigger something, maybe, maybe not. Um, but he has all these bastard kids, right? He has bastard kids. So when she burnt down that place, she essentially eliminated everybody plus her son's bastards. And I don't think people realize that. But yeah, that kid is one of his bastard children. Think about remember Robert Baratheon from the Game of Thrones? Remember he had all these bastard kids all over Flea Bottom? Aegon has the same thing. He had all these bastard kids all over Flea Bottom. And so when they burnt down that house, they were from some of the women who he was a patron of that particular brothel and the things that they do there. And he had a whole bunch of bastard kids, and some of those kids were there too. So yeah, she got rid of all of them that were in there because she posed. What happened was they made a deal with her father. Hey, I'll tell you where Aegon is, and he was supposed to do her a favor. And we're gonna see if that's gonna bite them in the ass because, of course, the queen has her killed, everybody killed in that brothel, and plus the bastard kids are in there too. So that's a little detail that I don't know if people really paid attention to. I might have to rewatch those two or three scenes where you get more of those conversations, but that is a thing there in the episode. So all kinds of chaos is going on. They're trying to look for Aegon. They finally find Homeboy and sober his ass up to get ready to be king, to be crowned the next morning. They need, because of what they're doing, they're basically usurping the throne. They're inviting everybody from Flea Bottom to come and see the king be crowned, the new and true king to be crowned. Wink, wink. So that's what they wind up doing. And hmm, yo, there's a conversation between Alicent, Queen Alicent, and Rhaenys, who they've imprisoned. There's a conversation, and Rhaenys says some things and Allison says some things. Then they try to someone is trying to help Rainey's escape. Might have been Queen. It might have been a Queen Allison decision. Um, I know damn sure wasn't her father because her father actually I think wanted to kill her. From my I think he wanted her to be on the list of hey if you don't bow kill. He wanted to get rid of her because as long as they had her dragon, it was a thing. Right? But I've seen how them dragons react when their riders are killed. So, he's like, just get rid of her because there's one less dragon, and it's dragon to dragon fighting because that's what he's thinking about. Because she's at King's Landing with her dragon who is in the sept, underneath the sept where the dragons are kept. So that goes that conversation goes the way it goes, and we see Rhaenys escaping. But when the King's Guard is leading her through, and she's like, "Yo, I need to go get my dragon," and he said, "No, no, no, we have no time. They're gonna be waiting for you there. We're gonna go and take a ship, and you're gonna go back to Driftmark." Well, things don't go that way, and she actually gets to see her little cousin. I think that's what it is. Her little cousin be crowned king, and ooh, well, homeboy started to feel himself when people were cheering for him, and he got some confidence because Aegon has always wanted like attention, and all that. So he's finally getting that attention. Like, oh shit, yeah. But ooh, baby, the way that episode ended, I don't want to spoil it all, but Rhaenys is not the one to be played with. And one thing I will say is Rhaenys is a dragon rider. This is one thing we did not see. Rhaenys technically is a warrior. People did not realize that. In the books, um, Rhaenys was a known warrior. She is a woman that has gone to battle. So technically, in the Stepstones conflict and Pentos, she had in the books. She had gone over there and battled. Like Rhaenys knows how to fight. She's not just a dragon rider. She actually knows hand-to-hand combat. She is a warrior, and we never got that in the series because I thought they weren't going to touch it. But all of a sudden, she's a dragon rider. She's a war. Rhaenys has always been a warrior and a dragon rider, both things. She could fight, she could sword fight, she could do these things in the books. And I didn't want to mention it because I'm like, yeah, well, they don't see. Now they're touching a little bit on it because it's convenient for what happens. You kind of need it because it's some other things I don't want to get into. But we get to see her badassery. See everybody, in her armor and her dragon in this episode. It is something to freaking see. So you really need to watch this episode. If nothing else, to see the chaos of what's going on, to see that part of the episode, it is something. And the way she looks at folks, woo, that was a nice way to end the episode. I will give it to you. Now, apparently, next week is the season final, and I'm looking forward to watching the season final. There's some things that I noticed in the commercial in the season final. I was like, wouldn't you helping somebody do something else? But I won't say much on that because I'm trying not to spoil as much, but it should be an interesting episode. I really enjoyed the ending of this episode. The chaos of all these random things happening was a interesting thing because you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? This episode really just focused on the chaos of the king dying and people making all these plans left, right, and center. Should we kill everybody? Should we not kill everybody? I'm going to do this other thing and then kill this people over here because they're going to do X or they could do Y. And you see even the Green Council going against itself as Alicent is not on the same page as her dad. And she wants to assert herself a little bit more, as well as, watching certain other things just, go down here. And then, this is going to be very telling as the future uh, of all this goes. So it's very interesting. Nice to see. So I'm just glad that they did focus on the chaos of this episode a lot. People disappearing, people doing what they're gonna do. And you know what I've noticed? King's Guard, whoever's the commander of the King's Guard, they tend to be really good at escaping death situations because they were looking for that old man most of the fucking episode and they could not find his ass. They could not find this guy. This guy fucking appeared. Like, I'ma leave. And he left and they cannot find him since. So it's been very interesting watching that. You can also see new enemies being made in this episode. If people were like, I don't feel comfortable in this situation, being locked up, some of those people are going to be killed, which of course is going to lead more of a division in Westeros. And this is going to be an interesting sort of the continuation of the series in the next episode and the seasons beyond. Now, between the gap between the last episode review and what happened in this episode, George R. R. Martin, the creator of this whole thing, said that in order to fully tell this story that we needed 4 10-episode seasons. And I kind of disagreed with that because the way we've been flipping flopping through time through this particular one season, I think that maybe we only need 3 10-episode seasons to tell the story, especially if we're going to be skipping time because this, to be honest with you, this Civil War takes place over a number of years. Okay, it's not just a 1 year thing or 2 year thing. It takes it's years and generation, well, years and well, the generation that happened wind up getting killed, but it takes place over a few years, okay? And it's very bloody. I think this whole series being about 3 seasons will probably cover most of it, if not, I think all of it, damn near. So I'm trying to figure out from his estimation, why do we need a fourth season, depending on how they slice it. This is a story where it depends on how you slice it. Definitely, it needs 2 more seasons. One more season is not going to be enough. I don't think you're going to need you need at least 2 more seasons. Yeah, but I guess I guess it just depends on how long they're going to go with this, right? Because a lot of stuff happens. A lot of people die, uh, get captured, negotiations, other people come into play. Because here's the thing: there are other people from other parts of Westeros who come through to pledge their banners, but they live on the other side of Westeros. So for them, it takes them months to get to where there's any fighting. Or for those that actually who kind of sat out, it's like, I'm gonna wait till they do this thing before I jump my butt in there. And that's a lot what happened there. But it's a, I could see. I honestly think this could be wrapped up in 3 seasons. He says four. Well, it depends on how they cut up the rest of it, right? How it depends on how next season goes and how much time skipping we do. If we don't do that much time skipping in the next season or too much the season after, then yeah, it will take another season. If they do the same type of time skipping here in the next season, then I think they can wrap this up in about 3 seasons. If they don't do as much time skipping, in terms of like time skip, I mean, they skip 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, all over the place. If they don't do that, then yeah, it probably can go for about 4 seasons if you stretch certain things out, because it depends where they want to end the story. If they end the story with a certain person finally getting the throne and being crowned king, if we if they do so, then yes, and they don't do too much time skipping, yes, I agree. It's going to take 4 seasons. If they do if they end the story before that happens, then no. If they don't do as much time skipping as they did in the first season, then no. Because a certain person who winds up being the last person standing and becoming king is not very old yet. I'll put it that way, not very old yet. So yeah, it could take 4 seasons if they don't do as much time skipping, given the age of who actually winds up becoming king after all this is said and done. Yeah, if they only do this until a certain person dies, then no. So so it just depends on that. So remember, this is based on the Game of Thrones. Remember, no one's really the main character. Anybody can get it. That is something I'm just warning you about if you're looking for that. So, with that being said, let us wrap up here. Thank you for checking it out. Please remember to like and also subscribe. The more you subscribe, the more it helps us out. I can do more fun things like this. So please subscribe. Thank you for those who watch every single week. I do appreciate you. We will see next week the fuckery because Damon's coming back. I'll see you guys next week. Same time, same channel. Have a lovely